All right. Welcome, everyone, to Conversations with Kat. I am yours truly, Dr. Kathleen Walls, with one of my favorite people to talk to, Dr. Peter H. Grimes. Hey, Dr. Grimes, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. And yourself, Kathleen?
I'm doing wonderful as well. I'm excited because before we went live, you told me you had some new information that you wanted to share. And this is real talk, real time talk, and live thoughts happening. So go on and let's talk about it.
The last time we spoke about stepping into the picture and how to maintain your status once you're in the picture. And so I just wanted to talk about, how people put together vision boards.
Yes.
They'll go out and they'll get a board, and some people will take actual pictures that they've seen in magazines and books and even online, and they'll actually paste them onto that vision board. And then they'll say, okay, this is what I'm looking forward to either now or in the future. But the whole thing is to put it in front of you so you can start visualizing it and, sending it out into the real world, into the universe,
Yeah.
and attracting it back. Sometimes we have to be careful what we send out, because we'll just put a blank slate out there. And I always tell people, go back and look at, if you've ever purchased a car or something of significance to you, and you'll say, okay, I like the BMW, and it has to be the two-seater, and I want it gray on gray, and I want, this sort of suspension. Sometimes suspensions are pretty natural, but you want a certain color, a certain car, and you may want a certain finish on that car.
Mm-hmm.
Once you purchase that car, you see that car everywhere, and you thought you had the only one.
Yes.
And that's just the way the universe works. You put it out there exactly what it is that you want it, and you didn't settle for anything less. The universe says, okay, we're going to give that back to you exactly the way you want. And I always laugh because I have patients that'll say, Dr. Grimes, I really want to meet a man. Where do they go? They go to the club. And I said, men in the club, they're just out there, and they just want to meet a woman, just to get hooked up and say, okay, we hooked up,
That's right.
done that, and then moved on. And I said, and then they come back and say, well, this guy was a dog, and I'm going, okay, let's rephrase that a little bit. You made a blank slate.
That's right.
You wrote that blank check out there, and you said, a man. You didn't say what kind of man.
And guess what? You also said that you just wanted to meet one.
Yes. And that's exactly what this young lady did. She met a man.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't say what kind of man. I said, okay. I said, now I want you to be specific. If you had a list of 10 things, 10 qualities that you'd like to see in an individual, I said, let's put those out there. And what are you willing to settle for?
That's right.
If you don't get all 10 and you can't fix anybody, okay, you can't say, okay, they only have 6 and I'm going to fix them on the other 4. I said, you have 6, you have 8, and the other ones, it could mature into that area, okay? And so that's a change on their behalf, not yours.
That's right.
And so then they started meeting quality people, and I always tell them, and I said, well, I'm going to go to church and meet a good woman. I said, you still have to be careful what you ask for. You list your qualities, be specific, and let's see how that comes into being. So I always laugh when I hear that, because, people will say, go down the road. One person, one of my patients came in and she said, I want you to take me off work. I said, nothing's wrong with you. And she wanted to be on disability. I said, be careful what you ask for.
Right.
So she ended up injuring a shoulder at work. She was jumping off of a truck or something, injured her shoulder. As a matter of fact, it was both shoulders. So when they came back and gave her a diagnosis, she needed surgery on the left shoulder. And then 6 months later, they were going to do surgery on the right shoulder. She was not able to return back to the work she was doing. And when I see her, I always say, remember, she said, I know, remember what you asked for, because she put it out there. She wanted to be off work. So, she had to go into another line of duty, a line of work, because she didn't want to do that one. I said, well, you put it out there.
That's right. That's right. It's so true. And vision boarding is so powerful. And I know I mentioned this before. I know I became familiar with it by accident back in the 90s and early 2000 when I had seen a picture of a woman with dreadlocks that I thought were absolutely beautiful. And I kept saying, if my hair could look like that, I would have that. And lo and behold, 14 years, I ended up having dreadlocks. And in the process of moving, I came across the picture that I don't even remember taking out of the magazine, but my hair looked just like hers. At that point, it was longer, but I had colored it the same color. When I tell you, I do not remember any of that, but it manifested itself. And I said, whoa, there's something to this. And that was before people talk. This is before The Secret came out. This is before vision boarding became very popular. And I was just like, okay, there's something really powerful for to this. And vision boarding is something that I have actively used. And for me, it's that moving from that visualization to that manifestation, and just even having the pictures, the energy, it starts to make it more tangible. And I remember a friend of mine said, if I can't see it in my mind's eye, I know I'm not supposed to do it.
Right.
And I was like, wow, because so many times, right, people will say, oh, I want $1 million, or oh, I want this, and oh, I want that. But they honestly don't feel it. There's not a connection. It's not part of their heart's desire. And so there's a whole bunch to, quote unquote, making it work, so to speak. You go ahead.
Well, I was laughing because, in the biblical sense, they talk about the 3 talons.
Yes.
And I always go tell people, it's not having $1 million. If you had $1 million, what would you do with it?
Yep.
That's the key. What would you do with it? And could you make that million turn into another million? That's the key. Otherwise, that million is gone in a weekend.
It's the absolute truth. I mean, how many times do we see that with people who win the lottery? And then next thing you know, they talk about being destitute. And it's like, what did you do with the money? Like, how did it go away? So there's an education piece that has to happen. There's a purposeful piece. And the other piece that I think about, I don't know if you got a chance to hear, because I'm trying to remember when you came in. Were you there when John Travolta spoke at the J.T. Fox Family First reunion?
Yes.
Okay. And there was a person who said they always wanted to be a superhero and they wanted to go into acting. And John Travolta kept asking, by doing that, basically, what are you giving to the world? Like, why you? What comes with you having that? And I thought that was such an incredible question. And several other speakers kind of touched on that throughout the weekend. And I kept thinking about it, and it was like, okay. And then it made me think about in Think and Grow Rich, there's the part early on in the book, he talks about what would you do for it? For whatever that it is, what would you do for it? And it takes you through an exercise of being clear about what it is that you want, when you expect to receive it, and what will you do for it. And so even if we look at money, I'm trying to remember, there was that movie with like Demi Moore and Woody Harrelson years ago. And who was that? Robert Redford. And he wanted to sleep with her for $1 million. And remember? And it was like, what would you do for that money? And, my thing is, I want to be able to do those things that I naturally do. I naturally listen to people. I, help them develop strategic plans. I help them transform their lives. These are things that I just do in an everyday conversation. So those are the things that I want to continue to do at a higher rate, have these, life-changing conversations with you, just even for ourselves, but we also recognize that what we're talking about, we help simplify so that other people can incorporate them as well. I can't tell you the number of times people comment on our conversations and go, oh, thank you so much for that.
Correct.
So, so there's the clarity on what will you do? And it doesn't have to be scandalous, it's not, but what will you do? And so getting clarity on what are your gifts and talents? Will you stay up? Some people talk about what is your why? Will you stay up in the morning? Like Dr. Nito Kubain talked about getting up at 4 a.m. so that he can study and read and then go into his day. People talk about, oh, I want this body, but will you exercise the amount of times that you need to exercise in order to get it? So what will you do? Go ahead. I see you smiling. I see some thoughts going across their brain.
It's funny, and I'm laughing, but a lot of times we have to look at change. And people say, well, I want to do it. Well, are you willing to do it now in the next 0 to 3 seconds?
Yep.
And part of that doing it now is changing the way you think.
Yes.
So a lot of people come up and they'll go, I want to do this, but I want to do it on my own terms. And I said, there's a pattern that's out there. It's like walking a path, and that path is well worn on how to get there. And I need to change the way I'm thinking, and I need to be okay with making a change. A lot of times we look at, well, if I don't change, will I succeed? Well, in order to get a different result, you have to do something different, and that difference is called change. And most of us have this fear factor, and I'm putting fear factor up there because if we fail, we consider that a failure. If it doesn't go right, we consider it a failure. Instead of going back to the board, okay, let me refine it.
That's right.
Let me make it better. Let me improve it. And then let me put it back out there and see what happens.
You know what? As you're saying that, I just got the clearest visual of all of those like CSI shows and Chicago PDs and all of those police shows, right? Where they have that board where they put their victim and their suspected people up on the board, and they draw all the lines with possible theories, and they play them out. And when it doesn't run, if somebody has an alibi, then they literally, quote unquote, go back to the drawing board. And that's what I hear you saying. It's like, this is the path that I feel as though will lead me to the goal. And then I take a look at it, I try it, closer, great, I continue on it, but it may only get me to a point, and then I say, I need to stop, or I need to add something new to this situation to get me farther along.
Right. And that goes back to the vibration aspect on my circle. When people say, well, what do you mean by vibration? I said, vibration is everything that you put out there. It could be attitude, it could be people, and it can be words. So when you're working with the vision board, that vision board cannot be stagnant.
Right.
It has to continue. It has to stay in motion. It has to vibrate. It has to move. And as you give more energy to that board will stay alive, and it'll keep moving forward and pulling you closer to those things that you have placed on it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the absolute truth.
It may not even be things. It could be just ideas, opening up a different way of thinking.
Yes. I'm so glad that you said that. So for me, when I create my vision boards and update them, sometimes it's actual pictures, and I will go through magazines, I will go through the internet, and I will, cut those pictures out, print those pictures out. And it's not just like you were saying, like with a car. It's not just a picture of a new car. No, I hunt the picture down until I get that sensation in my body that says, that's mine, and then I'll print it out or cut it out. I also do the same thing with words. So like, for instance, like I said, I had locks for 14 years. I cut my hair off at the end of 2015. when, for anybody who's ever had locks and you cut your hair, sometimes there's a thinning process that occurs. So
Mhm.
on my vision board, I put that I want thicker, fuller hair. So it's in the process of growing back. And in that, I end up running into this woman who has this hair product that is supposed to do what? Make your hair grow thicker and fuller. And
Okay.
all I could do
I
is,
need that product.
you need to run. I got you, Dr. Grimes, no problem. So,
Okay.
and so I got it. And so, like around the edges and stuff like that. Now, right now it's curled because it's starting to grow back. But there were spots, and I put that stuff, and I only used that for 1 month. And when I went back to get my hair done, my girlfriend who does my hair was like, "What in the world have you bought?" She said, "Your hair is so thick and so full." And I was like, "Yes." I said, it's the stuff. And so I look at the vision board and I just look at it, I point at it, I acknowledge it, and I say, it's working. Thank you. All right. And I'll look and I'll see what else on the board is currently being activated by
Mhm.
my actions, or what is currently making itself aware in my life.
Correct. Look on that end, the speed of implementation.
Yes.
I say the speed of implementation because we all come up with ideas, and ideas are nothing unless we implement them, which is everything.
That's right.
So I came up with 10 ideas, and people say, "Well, what did you do with them?" Well, they're still on my board. They're sitting there on my board, but nothing's going to happen unless I make a move.
That's right.
Ideas, and then those ideas start working for me. J.T. Fox uses that 24-hour rule. He says if you don't act upon it within 24 hours, then your future is only a dream. And a dream is kind of like a vision that's there, but you don't really step into it.
Yes.
Unless you make it real.
Yes.
So I always look at, you have like ideas, and then you multiply those ideas by the number of ideas that you implement, and that's what creates success.
Mm-hmm. It's the absolute truth. It's so funny. People have always asked me, how is it that you do so much? And they're like, you have the same 24 hours that I have, but God knows in 3 hours you have done more than what I and most people I know do in 24. And matter of fact, they'll often say than what I've done in a week. And I say, that's because I do. I'm not spending my time talking about what I want to do. I'm spending that time actually doing it. Right. And I sit down, I think about it, the plan, and I must say it comes through prayer and meditation, because I definitely believe that everything is divinely inspired. And when it is divinely inspired, then the divine co-spiring comes, right? Because then all the intervention comes, all the alignment comes, and then you just do what needs to be done. Now, you can go back and do it again, but at least, as you're saying, the energy has been set forth in motion that, oh, she's serious, or, oh, he's serious. They really want to do this. Okay, let's get them the help that they need in order to make this happen.
Right. And I like that because, and if we don't list it, those ideas are gone, or that to-do list is gone. Well, how many things did I actually get done? Well, our whole purpose is getting as much done in a short period of time as possible with how do you say, executing with quality.
Yeah, I usually say with excellence. Right, my husband always says with quality. Yes.
Right. So we're moving forward in that. Last week I had the pleasure of speaking with went back to my alma mater, my high school in San Francisco. And we were mentors, to the student body there. And we went into a couple classrooms. And the first classroom, we had a panel of 6 alumni speaking. Everybody gave their rendition on what high school was like and what's next, and some of the challenges that you'll have along the way. And the second classroom we went to, there was just myself and another gentleman. And after we introduced ourselves and went through it, we asked if there were any questions, and nobody raised their hand. And so the moderator said, I am going to open this up for discussion. And I go, wait a minute, that for them to discuss amongst themselves. I said, stop. I said, we have 35 minutes. It might have been even 40 minutes. And I said, I have something I want to share with you. I had an agenda going in, and I knew what I had to say was going to uplift them, and I wasn't going to let them leave until we had that done. So right. Then we spoke for another 40 minutes, and then we actually engaged in conversation with them where they were asking questions, and we had to turn the questions down after a while.
Wow.
So I look at, if you have a list, you have an agenda, and you want to execute that agenda, because when you woke up that morning, you knew exactly what you were going to do. You were going to make a difference in the people that you come in contact with. Mm-hmm. And that was my agenda, making a difference.
Yes. Yes. You know what? I love that. And it's so funny because I think it was last week I woke up and I just had this visual of us being just this energy. And it was like, what is it that you want your energy to do? And one of my husband's infamous lines to me is, tell the energy what to do. He always says that, just tell the energy what to do. And so, but last week, it was this visual, and it was like, we're all these little energy balls. And it was like, how are you directing your energy? What are you telling your energy to do each and every day? What are you telling your energy to do over and over and over again, so it becomes a pattern of behaving, so that your energy becomes automatic, like, oh, this is what I want to do. And so for me, as I sat there and I thought about it, and the other thought was, when I take in food because it gives me energy to continue to do those things that I want to be doing. Mm-hmm. And so really clarifying energy to do. And so it was like, I love talking with people and helping them transform their lives so that they are living their greatest life. That's what I want to do. That's what I do on my time, quote unquote, off. That's what I do on my time on. That's just what I do each and every day. Every conversation, like you said, I'm going to make sure that I impart something into these people so that their lives are better than when they walked in that door.
Right. Correct.
And I think and that goes back to that intention, that goes back to the clarity, and being purposeful in every action and every word and every deed.
That's important. When I was back in school, I used to plan out almost every hour, and I got it down to the half hour of what I was doing in that entire day. And, it used to drive my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, it drove her crazy, because I'd come and see her. I said, okay, I only have a half hour that I can see you. Then I have to go back to school and I have to study and get everything done. And, that almost ended our relationship because she wasn't having it. She says, okay, go ahead and take your time,
Right.
And so I started looking at it and just reading some other information. And I said, in order for us to channel those energies, sometimes we have to plan out our day. Just think if we went back and we planned out every 30 minutes of that day.
Mm-hmm.
You said, okay, this 30 minutes, I'm going to do this. This 30 minutes, I'm going to see this patient. This 30 minutes, I'm going to see the next patient. And I have free time. Now, it might be no time, your time for you, just to rest, but you planned out 30 minutes of that day. Just think how much you would get accomplished in that day.
It's the truth. And understanding too, right, that there's flexibility in there. So at least you've planned.
Yes.
Because then you can make the necessary adjustments accordingly. So like last night I went to bed and I had taken the quote unquote week off last week, meaning that I just took some downtime, needed to finish up some projects, but I also just needed to rest.
Correct.
And so I was like, okay, you're back on tomorrow. And it was like, all right, I'm going to wake up at 9 o'clock and I'm going to do my workouts. And then I'm going to talk to Dr. Grimes at 11. And I'm going to head out and go for my clients for the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. This morning, before the alarm, to get ready to go do that workout, I was like, I can't do it. And so I said, it was like, well, you understand. And I'm talking to myself, I'm coaching myself. You understand that if you do not do it this morning, then you need to do it tonight when you get in. And you know that you will have had a full day of clients. But this is what you're telling me you want to do. Because tomorrow, what I do not want to hear or feel is, oh, I wish I had done that yesterday. So you have a choice. You either get up now or you do it later. So I laid with myself, I checked in, and I decided I'll do it tonight when I get in. Now, we talk about how the divine conspiring occurs. How about my late client tonight canceled? So now I get to come home early.
You know, it always works that way, you know.
Yes.
I've had afternoons where I just wasn't feeling well. I was tired, and one after another, patients are counseling. I said, shoot, I don't even know if I should have come in today. You know, or I was working on a long paper, you know, a report for a patient. It was pretty detailed, and I'm going, you know, I have a block of time during tomorrow, and I still needed to get it done. You know, my patients in the afternoon canceled, so I actually ended up finishing that paper and then, you know, that report, and then getting it done. You know, your intention and what you think carries so much force that it's incredible.
Yeah.
You know, people say, well, how come the phone rings when you come in? I said, because I want it to ring.
That's right. And so I think it's important for people who are listening that, you know, there's so many takeaways here. So it is definitely important, one, to get clear on what those thoughts are that I say pop up and kind of hang around, right? Write them down. Because those may be your heart's desire, or those may be linked to your heart's desire. So they definitely deserve some exploration. Then, as we talked about the vision boarding, making sure that you are getting clear on what you want to be moving towards, because your life of today are your thoughts of yesterday. So if you want your life to continue the way it is, keep thinking what you're thinking. If you want tomorrow and your future to be different, then as Dr. Grimes said, you got to change your thinking, get some new thoughts, and then start to be more intentional and purposeful about the direction that you are headed in. So then you start to print out those pictures, get those words, those phrases. You know, it can be all of that, and actually get a board, like a poster board, and glue, tape, write, draw, put that energy on that board so that you can look at it. I choose to put mine in the bedroom so that it is usually one of the first things that I see when I'm waking up, and one of the last things that I see before going to sleep, and any other time that I'm in there to take a look at it. So for some people, they may like it in their office, but at least put it in a place that you have access to so that it's receiving that daily vibration and check-in. As Dr. Grimes said, make sure you're adding to it, you know, checking in with it, changing things, because there's sometimes things come into your life, and we're going to take a few minutes and talk about that. There's sometimes things that come into your life after you desired it and you go, ooh, that's not what I want. So what do you do with that, Dr. Grimes?
There, you know, things come in just like energy. Energy is not created and it's not destroyed. So when those things come in, it's okay to redirect it.
Yes.
Not everything is for you.
That's right.
But it may come through you and through your hands, and then you have to redirect it.
That's right. And so I think it's fair enough to take a look at it. You know, I talked about the instance one time when I kept wanting a treadmill. I saw it in my house in a specific location. Before it came, my younger brother ended up getting a treadmill and placing it at our office. And everybody's like, oh my goodness, look at that. Look how you manifested that. Look how the treadmill manifested. And it was like, yeah, but I want it at my house. I don't want to have to go to my office in order to use it. And, you know, a friend of mine said, thank the universe and then ask God to deliver your treadmill where you want it. And so I said, okay, fine. I did. Within the week of him getting that treadmill, it broke. He has never replaced it. That was at least 9 to 10 years ago. And a month to 2 months later, my girlfriend was moving. She said, I need to get rid of my treadmill. And when I told her what I was thinking, she was just flabbergasted. She was like, come pick it up whenever you're ready. Needless to say, I picked it up within 24 hours. Because as you talked about, I'm not going to ask for something and then it be delivered and then ho and hum and go get it. I just had to get 24 hours to get a truck and get somebody to help me.
Right. Well, you asked for it.
That's right.
And then you're specific about where you wanted it too.
Yeah, I knew exactly where I wanted it. And so it was funny because my cousin kept saying, oh, we'll put it in the guest bedroom. I said, no, I don't want it in the guest bedroom. I want it in the living room so I could watch television and use it. And he kept saying, no, put it in the guest bedroom. And by the time he got it up the first flight of stairs, he's like, I can't carry it anymore. He said, is it okay if we leave it right here? Which was exactly where I wanted it. I said,
Yeah, because otherwise you'd have to put a TV in the guest bedroom.
Exactly. And whenever I have a guest, I would be disturbing them. And that, you know, so that didn't work. So anyway, but it's right where I wanted it to be. And I made sure I jumped on and used it as soon as we plugged it in.
Yes.
You know, so we have to make sure when we ask for these things that these are things that we really want. We have to make sure that we use them. And as you said, and if it's something that you don't want, sometimes it may not be for you. It may have come to you to go through you to someone else as well. And so these are the things when we're talking about being clear about what you want and having that faith as well as the deeds come together to match and move forward.
That's correct. I agree with you. You know, when we look at mindset, it's okay to change. It's not failure. And do whatever it takes. And never give up on yourself.
That's right. That's right. So true.
You know, you can go through your patterns and say, okay, I did this, this, and this. So what? Do it again. You need to do it again.
Yeah.
Do it better.
That's right. And I think, you know, that's such a great point. And I know our alarm's getting ready to go off for our 30-minute mark. But you're absolutely right. This idea that doing it over and over again, especially if it's something that you feel as though you want. You know, I spoke to a young woman, 15 years old. She's a young and up and coming filmmaker. I just did a show with her. It's posted on our YouTube channel, UCCN TV. And she talked about how bad she wants to be a filmmaker and how much she enjoys it. So much so that she asked her parents, could she be cyber schooled so that she could spend more time working on her filmmaking. I mean, that's just dedicated. And I asked her, I said, how did you know it was your passion? She said, when I found myself only wanting to do that, when I preferred to do that instead of socializing with my friends. Now, you know, that's big for 15. Wow. Okay. When she said it was just what I thought about. It keeps me awake at night because I'm thinking about stories and movies that I can create and so forth. And she's like, I know a lot of people my age don't discover their passion so early on. She said, but this is how I knew this was my passion. And I know that feeling, you know, I'm sure you know it as well. Yes. And you know, and so this idea of moving towards it, and what she talked about was her growth process and how, yes, she knows she could do some things better, but that was the best that she could do at the moment. And then later, upon reflection and assessment, she sees how she can do it better the next time.
I like that. That's incredible.
Yeah. It is. I'll be sure I'll have to send you the link to the show so you can check it out. She just drops so many powerful business nuggets, life nuggets, and passion nuggets. It was wonderful. So Dr. Grimes, I always enjoy our conversations, and I always pray that they touch many people's lives and help them live, of course. My motto is to live your greatest life. Any final words that you want to give them until we talk again?
Step into the picture and let go.
All right, there it is. Step in and let go. Makes me think about that old Nestea commercial. Remember the Nestea plunge? Yeah. Right? Maybe we'll get some sponsorship from them for bringing them up, and right. We plunge into it. All right. So as Dr. Grimes says, plunge into, we'll combine it. Plunge into your greatness. Step into the picture and plunge into your greatness.
Okay.
All right. So until we meet again, continue to live your greatest life, and God bless.